There to kick us off, Sahorn Royal Club sort of keeping the tempo they had from the group stages. I immediately want to jump into the team comps that both of these squads ran out of picks and bans and just highlight something Joe was talking about. He said he's not convinced by the Lulu pick in picks and bans. Up until this game, Lulu has 4 wins and 9 losses at Worlds. Interestingly, of those 4 wins, 3 of them have been in the mid lane. Yes. All right, mid lane Lulu is working at the World Championship. Top lane Lulu is not. Just something interesting to note. And Freak, Double F, talk to me about the comps.
So the reason I actually think that mid lane Lulu works so well is no one's playing these champions like Ziggs anymore. You're not losing out in team fight damage by playing support Lulu. You're either seeing Zeds and Talons who are trying to one-shot one person, or you're seeing these supportive mid laners like Orianna and Lulu who are relevant in damage all the time. When you have a contrast of Lulu versus Ziggs, you're like, oh my god, my mid lane is so much weaker. When you think about top lane champions that are getting played, you're seeing about guys like Maokai, guys like Alistar who can absorb so much damage, or champions like Ryze who can deal so much damage. Lulu doesn't do either of those things. I think the disparity is very different when she's in the mid lane.
Yeah, and like Krepa was saying off camera, actually, the way you play against mid Lulu is you don't fight her early, because she does get outscaled probably 5 or 6 items. Orianna's a lot better than Lulu because of that big ulti, but you saw Sahorn Royal Club use their power spike so well. It's like, Kha'Zix has evolved W, Lulu's really strong mid lane, let's fight this dragon. They got a 5 for 0 and dragon.
Yeah, Lulu kind of falls off, but early game, she has so much utility in her kit, right? That goes throughout the entire game. But her base damages early game are good enough so that she can win a fight on her own, and I think that's what happened in that dragon fight as well. That's where they came ahead. So we have a replay of that as well. So if we can get that on your screen right now, we can actually see where EDG falters strategically and where Royal Club just capitalizes. So before we run this, I just want to point out that Kael's on the top lane pushing already, so they have the control of the map.
Yeah, and just like EDG making this dragon call is quite uncharacteristic. The casters talked about it, but this is not a team that generally goes for an early dragon when their team comp does not, convincingly win.
I mean, just look at the lanes right now. EDG has push on top. They have 3 stall in the bottom lane. All they need to do is control their mid lane and then stall out until they either get a pick around the dragon area because they have vision control and just avoid a team fight. They have a scaling Tristana composition. Why would you early game fight? I have no idea. But if we roll the clip, we see what happens. Kael teleports in. They do not spot the ward above, so the Ryze can teleport from the top side. And this is Uzi pinching from the bottom.
And this is so great. Look how good his culling is. He just gets a lot of extra damage down. And here, I would have been dumb and fought Name, but he realizes a shockwave would obviously kill him, so Uzi's better than me, obviously. But the free damage he's gotten down makes this pick happen.
What a Lee syndrome right there. There's literally no reason to go in. He goes in past the kill. You could kind of blame Kael. That's so stupid, because it's impossible for Kael to kill him while he's just kicking in, and that just immediately a 4 vs 5 fight.
4-man Kha'Zix evolve W hits your team. You do not go in after that. And then, yeah, Uzi pinches from the bottom, cleans up. This is just a really good fight from Royal Club. And the thing is, Royal Club is so good at exploiting mistakes, and EDG was at the Baron fight as well, so that's the irony for me. Both these teams exploit mistakes so well, but they keep making them, and I wonder just, how can you keep making mistakes if you're so good at recognizing when the other team makes them and you exploit them? And when are you going to learn?
Well, pull up the second replay, because after winning so convincingly, Sahorn Royal Club make the same mistake that Edward Gaming made earlier. Let's roll this clip out, and I think Double if you got something to add here.
Yeah, so they had just killed Lee Sin, and their immediate reaction is, let's start Baron. That's so wrong. You should be baiting this, because there's so much AoE damage and reset potential that EDG has. They're totally pincered in. Look at this 2-man shockwave on top of Baron, knocks them around. They're just basically getting pinballed around while Uzi's killing in the back. So it's just so hard for them to win.
And honestly, right here is pretty great, the little duel. Uzi's smart and goes far away. Baron always hits the closest target, so Nami's taking free damage. That's just really fortunate. Good crits. And then right here, Uzi hits a ward, and Nami reveals himself by attacking, but he can't get hit.
How fortunate it was that he was able to get that Baron, because actually I looked at it again, and if Tristana's auto attack had crit, EDG would have gotten that Baron, and they have such a great late game comp, they probably would have won.
I want to speak to what caused that Baron. Royal Club got so far ahead, but they just refused to play the vision game properly. I mean, yeah, I'm going to be whining about Zero's build again. I'm actually fine with the Magi's. I understand why you want that. I'm fine with Frostqueen's claim, but do not let your vision suffer from it. He ran around and even bought a Ruby Crystal before upgrading to Oracle's Lens, or even double stacking his pink ward in his inventory. And his solo laners didn't even buy extra pink wards. If you're 10k gold ahead, no item will give you more than a pink ward for vision control around objectives, because they will literally have to face check into you, because if you get that Baron, all your sieging problems are solved. And that's that's what worries me for these Chinese teams, like, because they get such a big lead.
Not really a
Yeah.
sieging region, though.
Yeah, well, so I actually wanted to bounce off you with the item builds thing, because one thing I've noticed from these Chinese teams is they're buying Last Whisper's third almost ubiquitously on their AD carry. So, Math, even though the armor values are really low, I did this between 68 and 100 armor, which is extremely, extremely low armor values. You're getting 20% bonus damage on all physical damage just from the unique passive of Last Whisper, just from the 35% armor pen. When you're an AD caster like Lucian, that is still, even against low armor, the best damage item you can buy. So it's gold efficient for damage, obviously not durability when you have things like lifesteal to consider.
Now, Double Lift, we are moving along. Edward Gaming is a team that you put some faith in coming into this. Are you a little nervous from the performance of their showing in Game 1, or is this just Game 1 jitters of a series?
Oh yeah, they got stopped this game, let's be honest. If it wasn't for that awful decision in the Starhorn Royal Club, it would have been just a sweep of a game. So I'm shaky. Yeah, I thought this game was going to be really close, and it still is to me, but wow, what a first game.
All right, final thoughts, Freak?
Yeah, I think that Dragon is fairly fluky. Think back to C9 versus Samsung Blue or TSM versus Samsung White. Fluky things happen that snowball the games. Yes, Royal Club can snowball the game. They don't magically get out-rotated for free. They played relatively well. So I don't think that'll keep happening. It'll have a much closer series.
Well, we do have potentially 4 more games to go, so let's move this one along. Throughout the event, we've been asking you guys to share how do you Worlds with us, and thank you for those photos. We've got a special one from @JKitchen13, shows us how they're watching the games from Texas, where everything is bigger. I believe that's an IMAX-sized screen, guys. That is huge.
That's like
All
8
right.
people tall.
Exactly. I think it's bigger than 8
Yeah,
people tall.
it is.
Guys, we're just warming up here, and after a quick break, we'll get into Game 2 between Edward Gaming and